And just continuing from our virtual coaching clinic this season, we put together a little slideshow presentation that I'll go through here. The purpose of our recreational program is really just to provide a fun atmosphere for all the kids to come out and play soccer. We want every child to get the opportunity to play in a positive environment. And me personally, I always like for every child to get something out of it. Me, especially from the soccer side, maybe getting better at dribbling, passing, or shooting. But we all got to remember that not everybody's out here for that reason. It's a rec program. Some people are out here just to make new friends, or maybe become more confident in themselves so they can achieve better in their life and at school. As far as season goes, we just want everybody to know you really, really just need to be patient with everything that's going on. Obviously, the ever-evolving changes within the state related to COVID may force us to make some changes as far as game days, game locations, and we're still waiting on some of that stuff to be sorted out. So like I said, we may have to adjust on the fly, so please be flexible. And of course, be patient with our staff, with parents, and with the players as well. You're representing the club here, even though we're volunteers, so please try to make sure we keep a positive attitude no matter what is going on. And is our commitment to make sure we get the whole season in, and we're willing to do everything possible to make sure that happens. Okay, the big topic obviously this season is going to be related to COVID situations. Every coach must wear a mask or a face covering when they're on the fields. I know that's not the most pleasurable thing to do because I've been doing it all summer, but just make sure that we're on the field, we're wearing masks all the time. When kids go in for water or something, you step away, take your mask down, take a quick breather, but make sure you put your mask back on when you're around the players. A lot of this stuff is going to be on the parents, but just making you aware of it, that all players must wear masks or face coverings to and from the field. All parents who watch practices from the sidelines must wear a mask or face covering. When they come to the field to start practice, they put their water bottle down, or somebody bring a bag. Just make sure they separate from each other just a couple feet, and that makes sure when they go to water breaks, they're social distancing. They're not spraying each other with water. They're not sharing water, of course. Some of the big changes this year are going to be related to things like, you can't huddle up and talk to your team at halftime or before or after practices. You can talk to them, but there's no huddling up. There's no chants, cheers with their hands in and all that kind of stuff. And we're not going to shake hands with the opposing teams after practices, after games, which I'm a big proponent of, but obviously we can't do that now. The club will provide hand sanitizer to each one of the coaches. Please make sure you apply that before practice, after practice, before games, and after games. For some of you older age groups who have goalies, it would be a good idea to go ahead and when you change the goalies out, have the goalie who's coming off the field put some hand sanitizer on as well. And again, social distancing by all spectators at all times. This is something just wanted you to be aware of. Obviously, if you see a big situation within your team, you can let the club know. We will help you try to address that. Coaching tips. The big thing for me is just remembering that all these kids play in here are in a recreational program. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just remember no one's going professional or winning a college scholarship after the weekend's game. I always say try to make practices as fun as possible. I always like to goof around with the kids during practice, do some things that make them laugh. When I took my first coaching courses for this age group, for the younger age groups, they said you almost want them running to the car to the practice. There's that anxious to play, and they don't want to leave the field when practice is over. If you're accomplishing those things, then that's what needs to happen for these age groups. Come to practice prepared. Make sure you know what your lesson is going to be about, even though maybe it's just 2 or 3 topics. Just know, 2 or 3 drills. Just know what you want to do. I make notes on my phone. I'll look at my phone. Oh yeah, this is what I want to do. This yada yada yada, and go on down the list. We do the play, practice, play model. So when your kids come to practice, start putting them on teams. Let them play the first 5 to 10 minutes. That way they get the anxiousness out. They're running around out, and then you get into your practice where you do 2, maybe 3 drills, and then you finish up at the end of the last 10, 15 minutes playing again. Remember the 3 L's: no lines, no laps, no extras. You surely don't want to have kids just running laps at the field. You don't want to spend a 10-minute lecture for an hour session. And well, I do use some lines in some of my sessions, and I'm sure everybody will. Just make sure it's not a line where there's 10 kids in line. One kid is doing one thing and nine are just waiting to go. Whenever I do lines, I try to have 2 separate lines going at the same time, so you have no more than 3 or 4 kids waiting for their turn. When you're making your coaching points, you got to make them quick, especially with the younger age groups. They are not going to listen. So make sure you get in what you want to say quickly. No more than 30 seconds, maybe a minute if you're a little bit older. They're not going to listen to you, so get your point across and just keep reinforcing it during your session. And the best thing to do right now is just to keep the kids active the whole practice. If you have kids standing around, they tend to talk, and that's when they tend to be more disruptive in practice. So it's always good to keep them moving as much as possible. The big thing now is, and I realized this over the summer when I was doing some stuff, is that most of these kids are distance learning at school. So it may be the only time they get to see kids at all is when they show up for practice. So they're probably going to be chattier than normal. They're probably going to want to, socialize a little bit more. So just be patient. I found myself going, okay, if I would have given 30 seconds for a water break or a minute, I was doubling that time to give them a chance to go over there and talk to their friends. It's just an unusual time right now. We all just got to be really patient with everybody. Having said that, sometimes you have kids who are really, really disruptive, and they're ruining your session because they're goofing off too much or not listening. I sit kids out. I say, hey, Billy, come over here and sit down. You're disrupting practice, blah blah blah. And I sit them down for a minute, and then I bring them back into the group and let them go. If the child continues to keep disrupting practice, I would sit them down again, and I'd sit them down a couple of times, and then I would wait. We always have this 24-hour rule, where you should wait 24 hours after a practice or a game before a parent reaches out to a coach. Same thing with a coach. You might be pretty pissed off at that kid when practice is over. Just go home, wait 24 hours, and then follow up with an email to the parent just saying, hey, Billy was quite disruptive at practice yesterday. This is what I did. I just wanted to let you know I need your support to make sure he listens during practice. If you continue to have tons of problems with the particular child, just reach out to us and we'll help resolve the problem. Just remember that, again, this is a rep program, and playing time can be issues sometimes with coaches who are just trying to win games. Remember, everyone should get as much equal playing time as possible. Everyone is guaranteed a minimum of 50%. Rotate the players all around the field, especially at the younger age groups. Nobody is a center back at 6 years old. They don't know what they are. We don't know what they are. And if you just stick them in the back and have them kick the ball real hard because they don't like to run, you're not doing them any good and a disservice to them as a player. I know it's frustrating, but you got to move the kids around and give them the opportunity to play offense, to play defense. I always make sure when I coach my kids in games in the older age groups where there's goalies, I rotate all my kids during the season in goal. And I just do, okay, which 4 goalies are playing this game, and then I pick 4 new goalies the next game. Remember, this is, again, with being a recreational program, you really have no idea who you're going to play against. The game selection is pretty random, so you might have some good matchups one week and some bad matchups another week. You as a coach, and along with the other coach you're playing against, got to manage the game. Nobody gets anything out of a 15-0 game. If your team is just smashing the other team, pull a player off the field. That's what I do. I pull a player off the field, and then maybe I challenge them another way. Hey, let's make 10 passes before we go forward. Something to where your team is getting something out of the game. If you're down 8-7, 8-0, put players on the field. As soon as you fall down 4-0 at the older age groups, you're allowed to play. Or you're allowed to add a player on the field. Just let the other coach know you're doing it at U8 and at U10. Just let the referee know and the other coach. Don't be ashamed of doing it. You got to get your ego out of the equation in situations like that. I've been in situations where I've added 2 or 3 players, and all it does more than anything is just clog the field up so the other team doesn't score a bunch of goals. I've also pulled 2 or 3 players off the field and was playing a U10 game, and I had 4 players on the field, and the other team had 8, and they scored a couple goals at the end of the game, and their team was pumped up coming off the field, really excited, and their coach thanked me for it, and at least everybody that day got something out of the game. That's it as far as all that stuff goes. If you have any questions during the season, feel free to reach out to me directly. Amy and Patty, I'm sure you probably dealt with them some as far as getting the team situated and registering. But on the coaching side, feel free to reach directly out to Amy if you can't get in touch with me, and it will help to support you in any way this season. Thanks.